Hello, everybody. Welcome to day 5 of the Spiritual Beings Virtual Summit. We have been here all week for the last 5 days, and today is our lucky last day, so to speak. And I've got some amazing virtual summit. We have been here all week for the last 5 days, and today is our lucky last day, so to speak. And I've got some amazing virtual summit. We have been here all week for the last 5 days, and today is our lucky last day, so to speak. And I've got some amazing virtual summit. We have been here all week for the last 5 days, and today is. Oh, fuck, sorry, guys. I don't know what happened.
Pretty good.
Hold on. I don't know what's happened. Sorry. Hold on. I think I know. It's my technical. Sorry, guys. Technical issues. Here we are. We're back again. I had an echo there. Okay, so I've got with me some amazing guests. I've got Ken Artuz from Ken Artuz Fitness, and Ken has been part of the Wellness Warriors that we've been having Twitter spaces, and we've been actually a team about 6, 7, 8 months, Ken, most of this year, and we're going to be talking about health and nutrition today. And I've got Pete Oz NFT from Aussie NFT, so another Aussie, and yeah, so Pete, I met Pete in real life about a month ago, I think it was, Pete, down in Melbourne, and met him online as well when I was just happened to come across an Aussie Space online, and found that we've got some really great, we sort of just gelled on some stuff on health and well-being. So so if you don't already know, this is the Spiritual Beings Virtual Summit. And sorry about that little technical difficulty just a minute ago. That was me. Not very techy, guys. So this morning we're going to be talking about health and nutrition and how can diet make me more effective and happy in Web3. Here you go, Ken's back again. It's going to be one of those days. Okay.
Always.
So holistic health and wellness encompasses us as a whole human being. A healthy life is the result of wellness and in all aspects of life: spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, nutrition, diet, sleep. So that's what we're going to be talking about, because we all deserve to thrive. And so I'm Lynn, like I said, part of the Spiritual Beings team, and I'm also been doing some Twitter spaces and connected with Ken on the Wellness Warriors. But I'm going to ask each of the speakers today to actually introduce themselves. So we'll go to you, Pete. You're next to me. So we'll go to Pete first. And could you introduce yourself and just give us a rundown? And also Pete has a partner, Michael, who can't make it today, and he will just briefly overview that as well. So over to you, Pete.
Thank you, Lynn. It's a pleasure to be joining you guys today, especially amongst you guys and yourself as well, Ken. It's a pretty awesome space, and love what you're doing, and love the message that you're cultivating with a beautiful community. As Lynn introduced, my name's Pete. I'm from Oz NFT. We are an Australian ecosystem helping brands and creatives take their first steps into Web3. We also provide their communities with the education, the tools necessary to thrive and enter safely. So we're having a lot of fun. It's definitely fun building in a bear market, but that's only really half of the coin. Really massive into health optimization, health, wellness, training, nutrition, you name it. We've probably tried it and tested it. So I'm just speaking on behalf of myself and main pilot Michael from Feel Good Nation, which is in Sydney, Australia. So this is the other half of the kind of business that I'm exploring and working on. Feel Good is a health optimization clinic. We specialize in treating anything from chronic illness to general inflammation. We use a range of float therapy, infrared saunas, cryotherapy, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, Normatec, which is like pressurized massage, and so on. So we're really into it, really into the space, really into helping people find their best self. Both Michael and myself have kind of undergone a few health challenges over the years, mostly to do with kind of thyroid related stuff, diet related stuff, and have effectively taken our health into our own hands after not having the best time in the standard medical system, and also experiencing other people quite close to us where the medical system didn't necessarily give them the treatment that needed. So we definitely saw a gap there. That's a bit of an introduction on myself and Michael in what we're doing in health and wellness in IRL. And then obviously I want to try and bring that into Web3 as well. So we're playing with a few different utility style Web3 projects that can really empower and give people the tools to access these kinds of services and this kind of information. That's about it. I won't badger on too long. Lynn, I'll pass that over back to you.
Amazing. Thank you, Pete. That sounds awesome. Ken, would you like to give yourself a brief overview?
Great. Great to be a part of this virtual summit. Good afternoon and good evening. My name is Ken Artuz. I'm hailing here from New York City, the Bronx specifically. And in real life, I am a physical trainer and fitness nutrition specialist. Just came home from the gym, training a couple of clients. I've raced my way over to make it in time. My website is artuzfitness.com. And what I provide for the community here is not only physical training, physical fitness, but also provide education and also products to help those on the go, because here in New York City, everyone is fast paced. They don't have time to sit down for a healthy meal. Their options are fast food restaurants. And of course, you could spend so many times in the gym. Once you come out, you have these temptations of bad eating habits. So what we provide through our website is very healthy options in beverage form. We have a cold press line of beverages, and cold press is much more different than what you would put in your regular blender. See, most people don't realize when you put fruits and vegetables in a regular blender, you're actually subtracting the nutrients because the heat of the motor kills off all the essential vitamins and minerals. So with our cold press line of beverages, you retain all the vitamins and minerals from our beverages. We also have a line of organic energy beverages, and what that does is eliminates all the sugar, all these added things that you don't need in these energy beverages that you would find in the store. So everything's organic, and the only source of quote unquote sugar would be natural honey or agave. I've been serving the community for the past 5 years. After having a desk job for 20 something years, finally realized, hey, this is not for me. Sitting behind a desk, you have bad eating habits, bad posture, and too much stress. So I went into the entrepreneurial route, opened up my own business, and of course, COVID hit. Business had to shutter for a bit, but here I am once again, reinvigorating the business in the entrepreneurial direction. I also served earlier this year on the NFT community, introduced a quote unquote project, and had to put a pause on that, of course, to also focus on real life business development. Thank you for this time. Lynn, over to you.
That's amazing, Ken. Yes, I can attest to the cold pressed juices and how different they are. I've got a cold pressed juicer myself. Spent a whole afternoon with my husband actually on a YouTube video watching videos on cold pressed juices. What was the best one to buy? So I've been doing that for quite some time, and they are a lot healthier. But yeah, so we're going to talk about how diet can make us more effective, or nutrition and diet and happy in Web3, because this is what we're talking about, Web3, spirituality in Web3, and also how important is it, guys, to have a healthy diet? Like, I know we've all been through some stuff, but what part do you think nutrition and diet plays in being effective in Web3? Is it just about food? I think you've sort of answered that a little bit, but Peter, I'd like to hear what you've got to say about that.
Yeah, I think your diet is everything that you consume, right? Whether it's the content, the music, the food, the water, the people. It's everything that is coming into your sphere, and how that's going to be interpreted and processed. I am massive on culling and maintaining control of what I can control, and removing what I can't. So I'm accepting what I can't. So I always make sure it's whole foods, whole people, and good quality water. I don't think you could really go wrong with those three. I mean, if I wanted to just be specific on, say, Web3 and the kinds of people that Web3 attracts, I think one thing that we all have in common is transparency, because everything on Web3 is built on a blockchain. So whether that's an alluring thing or not, that we know or we can appreciate or not, that's one fundamental that this whole industry is built on. So if we're looking at transparency, I think that starts with whole food, understanding exactly where your food comes from, who made it, where it came from, how it got into the packet or into the shop in front of you, where did it come from, pesticides, etc. You want to be just super aware of that. I think Web3, I did do a note on this. It's kind of, there's definitely a possibility of Web3 can help nutrition by assisting in breaking up the monopoly of big food, allow the free flow of information to help inform people about the true health as defined by people like Weston A. Price. Would definitely recommend looking into him. He's documented the transition of our food cycle from primitive cultures thousands of years ago all the way into our current understanding of what our food systems are and how that transition has actually physically changed us. So that's definitely worth a read and definitely worth checking out. A direct to consumer model where you can track and trace all the things that's happening to your food, be pretty good. You've kind of got that with people now. If they're public with their wallets, you can see where they've been, but you can't really do that with people that you meet online yet. But again, it's if you have a strong foundation, I believe, in good diet, sunlight, exercise, whole food, you have a stronger base and a stronger foundation to work from, and you can't really go wrong. Your intuition is clear, your energy is clear. You haven't got inflammation in your body, or the inflammation that you are experiencing, you are doing your best to treat. So that's just unblocking those roadblocks, those internal roadblocks. I think Web3 is all about creating free flowing information and ridding yourself of those roadblocks. So that's what I would most definitely recommend. Just be aware of everything that's coming into your life, including the content and the time you spend around people, as well as the water and the food that you consume.
Sorry, I think I had it on mute. Thank you for that, Pete. Yeah. Yes, definitely. Whole food is really important. It's a lot of fast food around it right now, has been for a long time. And sometimes I think for myself, when I did my nutrition course, I found out a lot more about food than what I'd ever known before, and how much food had been manipulated and what was in food, and, what is real food, and the difference between real food and food that just, we can, grab something, put it in the microwave, whatever. And so I think that it's really important to know where your food's coming from, for sure. And
absolutely.
Do you think that diet plays a big part in us being effective in all areas of life? It basically, yes. I believe yes, it does. But I don't think it's just about food. Ken, have you got anything to say about that?
Well, definitely. When we use the terminology diet, we instantly think losing weight, and it's the word has been misconstrued to help these weight loss businesses market their product, which essentially is a false fabrication of twisting of words. And once you fall into their trap, you try their product, and yeah, you may lose weight, but guess what? you stop their product, whatever it is, whatever thing that you're doing at that moment, you gain the weight back in tenfold. So going back to the word diet is what we are comfortable with in our daily consumption. What is it that we prefer, uh, whether it's weight gain, weight loss, or weight maintenance? If you don't like chicken breast, don't have your chicken breast. If you prefer fish, go right ahead. Your diet is your diet. If you want to try any other of these diets, let's say Atkins or whatever, you could give it a try, but that diet may not be for you. Just like what had Pete elaborated earlier, is what you bring into your sphere, and that is processing the right information. And we have the pros and cons of the internet. We may come across information that is correct or incorrect. This is all about education, and it was all about maintaining your health, maintaining your body. And with that, you cannot process the first thing that you see. You got to sit down, calibrate, and recalibrate. What is it that works for you and your goal, and how it applies to artists or those who have an NFT business? The first thing to do is to find that balance. Yes, we want to progress in the Web3 sphere, but also that doesn't mean that we're going to lose our progression of our own personal health, and that includes mental and physical. We have to have that balance. We have to first take care of ourselves, because you don't take care of ourselves, guess what? The business is not going to flourish, because you're going to be too stressed out, too hungry, or whatever the case may be.
Absolutely, Ken. Yes, it definitely is right. We are all individual, and what suits Pete, what suits yourself may not suit me. So it's really important. I'd like to coach people to find out who they are and how their body works, and what how foods affect you. And we don't often put it back to food. Food is usually the last thing that people will look at when they're having some sort of illness or bloating or all sorts of things. I know one of my daughters does the same, and she eats this rice and pasta, and it always bloats her. And I go, babe, it's what you're eating. She's go, oh yeah, but I like it so much. I said, well, you had to put up with that. Like, stop eating it for at least a few weeks and just see how your body feels. And sometimes we've got to do that. We've got to take a step back, like you said, Ken, and work out where that fits into our own lifestyle. Like, there are so many diets. Wellness, it has become a word that has turned into a multi-billion-dollar industry right now. And like you said, there are so many different diets being spruiked, this and that. And if you go on a diet, like, so to speak, you will lose weight. If it's an Atkins or it's a paleo or a keto or whatever it is, you'll actually lose weight for that period of time. But if you haven't actually worked out that that's right for your body, you will put that weight back on, and you won't be able to sustain it. And this is why I coach people to find out what makes you tick as a person, because we are all bio-individual. And, for me, what I call primary food, which our spirituality, it's exercise. Ken is a personal trainer. The stresses of life, work-life balance. I know Pete and I talked about, stress on your body through work. And my husband actually ended up with 2 cancers, and I believe it was a direct result from the stresses of life in his work. And since he's given up work, and since he's actually became, more aware of what's affecting his body, he is quite healthy now, and he has actually come a long way in going, you know what, I need to step back. I need to look after my body. So it's not just about, what we put in our mouth. It's actually about, getting enough sleep. So I'd like to get your thoughts on that as well, Pete. What are the negative and positive effects that having stresses on life, because there are positives about stress. What do you think? Are they important? Is sleep important? Is, pulling the stress down important, or doesn't it matter? It's like, que sera, sera.
Well, Lynn, I think stress is extremely important. We're human beings at the end of the day, and we've evolved to come here through applied stress and evolution. I think stress is integral in getting things done. Stress in different kinds of applications are fantastic. They're a fantastic motivator, fantastic protector, fantastic driver to essentially push yourself to things that you wouldn't normally think you could get done in that kind of state. Yes, excessive stress leads to excessive cortisol and plethora of other kind of hormonal shifts that has a destructive outcome on one's physiology. But I think being aware of stress, I mean, like, I'm quite a highly strung person sometimes as well. I'm building a business, I'm managing a business. I can be very stressed and very horrible to be around. And that's an element of self-awareness that I'm continuously building. Like I'm like, we're humans, but to push that, and as well, it falls into kind of your personality profile as well. If you're the type of person that's vocal with their stress, maybe that's a clear sign that, hey, like, you've got to change what you're doing right now. Like, just change your environment up. That might even just be stepping up out of your desk, going standing out in the sun, do some, it's not so easy, obviously, when you're in the moment and everything needs to be done now, and you've got pressures mounting, then that stress is accumulating. However, look, you don't do anything for yourself or anyone around you that you love, respect, or you need to work with if you're unable to control your stress, and it's bringing you down. It's going to bring everyone else down around you. The second point to that, I would say, is your health is actually the most important thing. And if you don't have like many people don't, and including myself at stages, we forget because we put other people's needs above our own. I think your health is the most important thing that you can be maintaining and improving, because with good health, you have good cognition, good bodily function. You can serve more people around you at any given time, which is what we're all ultimately here for. You can't do that if you're in ill health. So, I can imagine that it would be traumatizing to be a breadwinner of your family. Your identity, your life is known as the worker. You get it done and you get sick from it and you can't do that anymore. So it's quite a challenging thing to a lot of people. And I think it's totally cool to just be aware of that, that we're not robots, and we don't need to be robots. We need to be aware, and we need to best serve our families and serve our neighbors in our community. The only way we can do that is by, being a little bit selfish with your health. Sorry, did that answer your question?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I totally agree. Like, there are really good stresses. Like, we do need stress. Stress, is part of who we are. But it's when those, high flight or fight modes come in, and we don't look after our bodies by taking a step back, by, like you said, stopping. You mentioned having a drink of water or getting up off your desk, or just being aware of how, because sometimes we're just not aware. Because I am I'm a fix-it type person. Okay, so we can do this, this, and this, and we can do this, this, and this, and it's like, being a fix-it person doesn't help anybody else. I mean, it doesn't help me, sorry, because I'm just like, I'm getting stressed out too much because I'm trying to help everybody else. So I think that, being aware of that and taking a step back, which I've done these last few years, and realize, hold on a minute, I need to take a step back, because Pete, if we don't have our health, well, what's going to happen? Like, we won't be here, or we'll be sick, and we won't be able to thrive. So absolutely. So Ken, what would you say about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything in moderation. If we have excess stress in our lives, of course, it's going to collapse our thinking, our meditative state, spiritual state. But yeah, some persons, myself included, work well under stressful conditions. And we have to use that stress factor in order to make better decisions. That's where we thrive the best. Once again, it all applies if you're having too much stress and you find that you are getting a certain way emotionally, it's affecting your sleep, then it's a good time to step back and recalibrate your mental state and tackle whatever issue, problem etc., etc., that is causing that stress factor.
Yes, that's right. And yeah, really great points there. So what about Web3? So we're talking about Web3. You know, Pete is your Aussie NFT. You know, and Ken, you've had your own NFT business that you said you've pulled back a little bit on. So what I've found in Web3 is a lot of people are becoming very burnt out, and especially with this bear market happening, a lot of people have stepped back and said, you know what, this isn't for me, or you know, like, what am I doing? Like, I know personally some people who've had to take off 6 months just away from spaces, you know, their Web3 business because the stresses of life were too much. It was affecting them. So this is where we want to come in and say, hey, you know, look after yourself, be aware of these things, actually tap into who you are as a person. Pete, how do we do that?
It's a big question. It's a big question, Lynn. I would my most recent reflection, and this is coming from the context of someone who loves to just dive straight into things and just get things done, build things, iterate things, test things out, and just keep going. That's a surefire way to kind of burn out pretty quickly. And I think in the Web3 space, we can all appreciate that things move very quickly, and there's a lot of information a lot of the time. So that's quite overwhelming. We're not naturally built for that. I mean, we can and we do, but it does have a toll on your mental acumen. So I would, and this is my most recent reflection, is just to move in the right direction. Sometimes you just need to slow down. You need to slow down to move best. Fast is not always the best outcome, and really focusing on what's the one thing that you can do that's going to drive your mission further, not the 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 other different things, but the one thing that you know is true. And most commonly, if you're finding yourself burnt out, I think it's taking on too much, and that's from having a bit of a disjointed relationship with yourself, and knowing, well, what is it that's actually, what's your magnet and what is your North Star. And if anyone is experiencing that right now, I would thoroughly recommend just baselining yourself where you actually are now. If you're in Web3 and you're feeling this and expressing this, and you're emotionally suffering during this period, I would think, why are you actually here? I mean, think about the reason that you entered, because there is that reason. It's not because the money was peaking. It's not because the NFTs were going and you were making shitloads of JPEGs. There was a reason there. Whether that was community, whether that was like you found a problem to fix, whether you saw an opportunity that no one else can see, that fundamentally is there. And then all these other little things, you know, people's attitudes, the atmosphere of the market, what's going on in the world, these things will start to kind of come and clutter your mind and start to muddy the water, and then you get confused. And if you're confused, you're generally going to lose. And so that's where that burnout comes, because you've got it's got holes in your bucket. There's holes in your ship. All your life force, your energy, it's pouring out of all these holes, trying to fix them all, but it's not the right one. It's not the right one. So if you are experiencing that, I'm only speaking from my own personal advice. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just a guy who's trying to build a business in the space. And I've had plenty of burnout in the past, and then I'm sure I'll do my best to manage it in the future. But one thing that I've found fundamentally that has helped me a lot is just to slow the hell down. I'd be more than happy to take half a day, take a week, just to think about the one thing that I actually need to be doing, not the 100 other things that people think I need to be doing. Is my health right? Is my family right? Is my community right? If those things are okay, all right, I can make a better decision to move forward in whatever that is, in whatever endeavor it is, and finding the thing that's actually I'm in love with. The reason I'm in love with Web3 is I'm in love with the building. I'm in love with the process, and I'm in love with being an exceptional business producer and creator. That's what I want to do. That's ultimately what's going to keep me getting up. That's going to keep me going to bed at a decent time. That's going to keep me, out of the pub and focusing on what I want to be doing. And for others, it might be that's the community. That might be the learnings. They might be a student and an academic at heart. It could be anything. But there is that one thing. We all possess that one thing because we're all emotional people. We're spiritual beings. Pardon the pun, but that ultimately is the consistent thread. whether you're in Web3 or any other venture in life, you do have an emotional body, and that emotional body yearns for something. And when you can hear what that is, and you can distill that to the one thing that is actually making you happy and that will pull you forward, I would thoroughly recommend leaning into that. And you'll find burnout falls aside, because you find a way to work through any obstacle that shows itself in front of you. So that's how I would. That's my thoughts, Lynn. On that right now. If that was.
That's great. No, that's great. I mean, it's quite early hours of the morning here in Australia, so I really appreciate that you're here and giving us your time. And definitely, we are spiritual beings. We definitely have a spirit, live in a body with a mind, will, and emotions. And I think once we realise that, we can actually start to tap into who we are. But I love the personal experiences, Pete, because I think people hearing these things that, oh, Pete's had a few, Pete's burnt out sometimes, and Lynn's been burnt out sometimes, and Ken's been burnt out sometimes. So, maybe it's not so bad for me. So, Ken, have you got anything to say about that?
Oh, absolutely. I always relate the Web3 NFT space to physical fitness goals. Whenever a prospect enters a gym, the golden question is, what are you looking to do? What are your goals? And most of the time, the prospect is, I want to lose weight. Okay, how much weight do you want to lose? 20 pounds. How long you want to lose them? How long do you think you want to take to lose this weight? 1 month. That's not realistic. You're not gonna see those results in a month, because if you are giving yourself a month to lose 20 pounds and you don't realize those goals, what's gonna happen? You are going to feel depressed. You're gonna feel beaten. You're gonna feel like you lost in the pursuit of your goal. The same thing applies with the Web3 NFT space. Set not the short-term goals, look at the long-term goals, and also you would have to know your target audience. You'd also have to know your product. You have to know how to price your product. Once again, this equates to physical fitness. How much can you lift? What impedes you from doing a certain task? Do you have an ankle problem, a knee problem? Do you have asthma? All these things you have to take into consideration before you execute your goal. You don't want to stumble midway. That being said, we are in a bear market, and many uh, NFT businesses have put a pause, of course, because hey, real life do happen, and you have to pay the rent, you have to pay bills or whatever it is that comes along in real life scenarios. With that said, there should be once again this balance. The NFT space, the cryptocurrency space is facing a downfall. That doesn't mean we should quit. That means you could recalibrate, figure out in the next round, what are you going to present for the target audience? Do you need to recalibrate your art? Do you need to find people to help you to delegate certain tasks, whether it be your website or whether it be your roadmap? The thing is not to give up. If you give up, it's just like when that person comes into the gym losing those 20 pounds, you give up, and you got to give up hard, and you got to feel hard on yourself. When you're a business person, you cannot have that mentality. Any challenge, any obstacle is what it is, a challenge and an obstacle that you can overcome.
Yeah, good point. So I really think, it is about that balance in life and finding that balance. So, yeah, I know Ken gives lots of tips and tools. So we're going to probably have a little chat about that right now. So just what are some simple tips and tools that you could give us to stay healthy, spirit, soul, body? What is it that you do personally, or tips that you could give to me? I'm burnt out. I can't sleep very well. I'm like, I'm giving you a scenario here.
Right, right.
I'm trying really hard to make things happen, and I just feel burnt out, and I get tired in the afternoon, and then I feel like, oh, what do I need to eat? And I'm reaching for the sugary type things. What's happening with my body? What do I need to do?
hmm Well, as I stated earlier, here in New York City, is a very, very fast-paced city. That's what they call it, the city that never sleeps, because in reality, we don't sleep. You could go to the corner store and get a burger at 4 o'clock in the morning if you want to. And this is where the discipline comes in. And it's an excuse that I hear all the time from prospects. I don't have time. Yes, you do have time. There's 24 hours in a day. You have time for yourself. And I hear all the, oh, I got to get the kids to school. I got to go to work. I got to commute. Yeah, but you do have time. And how do you get that time? You have to schedule yourself. You have to be disciplined. Even if you have to get a notebook, well, now we have apps for that, but I don't advocate apps, because if you use a pen and paper, it processes in your mind instead of typing. Studies have shown that. Create a schedule. In the morning, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to have breakfast, most important meal of the day. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then I'll tackle everyone else. If you don't tackle yourself first, how are you going to help someone else? You can't. That's like the blind leading the blind. You can't do that. Plan your whole day. Plan when you're going to eat. Meal plan. Have containers with what you're going to eat throughout the whole day. If it's a physical fitness regimen that you're looking to accomplish, you don't need to be at the gym, period. Set aside some time in your office or whatever, a brisk walk. 30 minutes is more than enough for you to accomplish a quick, whether it be cardio or resistance training. You could do it and then build from there. Set small goals, long term goals, and keep that journal. If day one you failed, good for you, you failed. Day two, you're not going to fail because you learned from the previous mistakes of what went wrong. Maybe the song on your Spotify wasn't working. Maybe you didn't feel good. Maybe something happened to you. Write that down, and you will see that you, at the end of the 30-month period, and you look back at your scheduler, you see that you're a better person than when you first started. So first thing and foremost is set that time for yourself, and secondly is schedules. Once you have that down packed, then you could see a huge difference.
Yes, yes, I love that. I've been talking to a lot of people about scheduling things in because people work on their schedules. If you schedule it in, you're more likely to do it. What do you think about that, Pete? You got any tips and
Absolutely.
tools?
Absolutely. I think it's like probably the most boring advice, but consistency. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result is insanity. But if you're grounding yourself in habits that you know are good, that you need to do, and you can just do one of them every week, I think being consistent in that and just stacking small wins is the best way forward. I absolutely agree with everything that Ken said. I think if you've got a couple of habits that you've got going on right now that you're not too comfortable with, and you're finding that they aren't adding to your betterness, to your being, I would just work on one of those. I'd just be like, look, all right, at 3 o'clock on every day, I seem to be going for like my fruit roll ups. Look, you know what? Today, I am not going to go for my fruit roll up. Okay. And that's just one thing. You can forget about the rest. Forget about the rest. Forget about what you're having for dinner, lunch, breakfast. Just work on that one thing because you're stacking a win. And that win is proven to yourself that you've just accomplished that. Now, what can you do the next day? Can you do that for 2 days in a row? Cool. You can do that for three. You can do that for three. You can do that for four. Just one more day. Then a week's passed and you've crushed it. It's not even on your radar anymore. You know what I mean? Then you can start to look at something else. But you'd look at your day and be like, what is the perfect day for me? What is the perfect day where I'm showing up for my family? I'm showing up for my colleagues, my community. I'm showing up for myself. What is that day? Everyone's day is different, but what is that day? And if you can list those things in that day, and maybe they're 5 things, maybe they're 3 things, maybe they're 10 things, but they're going to be within something reasonable that you know that you can achieve to that day. That is the best day. That is from you to your community and who you are responsible for. Hold that as a high caliber for yourself. I think you could achieve that in no time. It's because you know it's the right thing to do. If you've got a thing with like distractions, I tried this thing. It's called Pomodoros. It's a it's a it's like a little focus hack. It's like kind of working on where understanding your work cycles. Just like we have sleep cycles, we also have work cycles. So Pomodoros are every 25 minutes. It's a timer. You sit down, you remove your phone, remove all distractions, keep yourself clean, and you have a little timer, just like a little egg timer. It goes for 25 minutes. It goes off. You stand up, walk around, stretch, do something else for a little bit, pat your dog, come back, set it again, 25 minutes. Do the same thing again. Do that 4 times and then take a longer break. Okay, it's a good way to just reallocate your attention, because the only things that we have, the only things that are most fundamentally important for us as humans are our time and our attention. And with that, we have focus, and with focus, we can achieve anything. And so that's a really good way you're not looking at your phone, you're not looking at who's emailed you, you're not looking at your iPad, you're not looking at your children, you're not looking at your dog. You've got 25 minutes to dedicate to the task at hand, and then you can work that out. Okay, and then you just reallocate, refocus again. And then obviously at the end of that hour, give yourself a longer break. It's your reward. You did really, really well. You did 25 by 4 sessions. You've crushed it. The other thing, it's going to sound kind of weird, but thank your food. Thank your food. Before you put it into your mouth, say thank you, appreciate to whatever had to die, both a plant or an animal that had to create that to nourish you. For something to live, something has to die. So you thank that, and that slows you right down and makes you think, am I thanking my roll-up, or am I thanking my avocado? You know what I mean? I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but it's like, it's the little things in how we talk to ourselves and how we perceive our physical world. So we're not just mindlessly consuming, because that's essentially a model that has been trying really hard to get us to work in, is just mindless consumption. And so what can we do? We can be thoughtful, we can be present, we can be aware. And that kind of starts with gratitude. I sound like an idiot, but it's like, it just starts with like, just thanking, just being conscious and being thankful for whatever's going in your mouth. And I mindlessly consume all the time as well. So this is something I actively practice.
I love that, Pete. You're not an idiot, because I do that all the time. Actually, when we have our grace, we call it grace. I've got an avocado.
Yeah.
Pete. I'll have the avocado.
There you go.
No, my sweet. No. So we actually do that. We thank the food. We actually say thank you for the hands who prepared it, who grew the food, because there was a study in New York. They did a study, and so we had an orange, and they did a study on thanking the orange for giving it, for growing, for giving the nutrients that it had. So they had a study of, let's just say half a dozen people thanking the food, the other half a dozen didn't. And they said when they actually thanked the food, it tasted better. It actually gave them, like you said, and it does make us sound a bit weird, but at the end of the day, it does. When you're thanking that and you're thinking about how it was prepared and how it was grown and what had to happen to get that food to your plate, I think it does make a huge difference. And I think it's more nutritious for your body. And, they can call us loopy, but hey, I don't mind being called loopy, because I think that I love that. I was sitting here laughing about that.
It works. It slows everything down.
Let's all do that. Let's all thank our. What do you think about that, Ken?
Well, for the sanity plea, I think we could all say that we are sane in an insane world. So someone could see our perspective and call it insane, but it is actually sane, and they're the ones who are insane. And it's true. It's when you thank your food, whatever religious practice that you may or may not have, you have to be one with what you consume, because this is actually providing nutrients for your body, as opposed to having something artificial made in a lab. That of course is not going to be good for you, but something you pick off the tree. And in many countries, Latin countries, the backyard is the source of the food. They got the plantains, they have the chickens, and come on, it's like you don't see that concern of health in the Latin American countries, because everything is natural. Unfortunately, here in the United States, everything is processed so quickly and everything is artificial. You have cornflakes and Cheerios and other stuff that you don't need. And you have to think, when you have that perspective of thanking your food, what is it that you want to choose? You want to choose chemicals, or you want to choose something natural? And it just makes us centered to nature.
I love that, absolutely, because then that's like a spiritual practice to me. It's like tapping into that, that extra sort of like the way things are made, because, it amazes me. When I used to live out on a property, there'd be some stinging nettles, and they'd sting you really, really quite badly. But right next to the stinging nettles, there's this chickweed, and you'd pick that and you'd rub it on, and it would stop the stinging. So in nature is amazing that it really does have the solutions there for us. And I think that I love what you said, Pete, about doing one thing at a time, just doing that one thing. I love the 25-minute timer. I love that we take, just pick one thing. Sometimes we're doing 5 and 6 things. We go, oh, I've got to stop doing this, and I've got to do this and do that. And we won't do anything because it gets too hard. But let's just pick one thing. I call it crowding out and adding in. Crowd out what you don't want, add in what you do want. There's so much more to this conversation we could have, but unfortunately our time is just about up. So I'd really like to thank Pete from Aussie NFT. Go check out Pete on
Appreciate it.
Twitter. His handle. You can actually. I'm going to let you guys finish up with some last words. You can give a little, plug for yourselves and what you do. And thank you so much for coming today to Spiritual Beings. And Pete, I'll have you, and then Ken, and then we'll just finish up. And thank you so much for your time. And I really, really appreciate it. And I'll see you soon.
Appreciate it, Lynn. It's been an absolute pleasure to share this space with you and Ken and Jody as well. You guys are doing an amazing project, and I think you're extremely innovative to be collecting these ideas and sharing these ideas for your community. So again, I'm very grateful and honored to have been invited here. Again, my name's Pete. We are Oz NFT. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all the socials. It's Oz NFT _official. For anyone here that's in Sydney, Australia, I also run Feel Good Nation, which is in Leichhardt. Again, that's a health and wellness optimization clinic. If you find yourself around, just drop me a DM at Oz NFT. I'd be more than happy to look after you and show you some of the cool stuff we've got. It's been awesome sharing this time and space with you guys. I really wish you all the best, and have a wonderful day, night, wherever you are in the world. I'll pass it over to you now, Mr. Ken.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Lynn, for putting this all together. Thank you, Pete. Many congrats and many blessings on your entrepreneurial endeavors. You could find me on Twitter. R2's Fitness is my handle. Also, r2fitness.com is my website, where you'll find additional information on beverages that we provide, and also fitness in general, physical training, etc., including upcoming events that we are planning here in the Bronx, New York City. It's always a pleasure, and I enjoyed this. Definitely, it was a very informative conversation. And for those listening or watching, do write down notes, watch it again. Very informative information here, but also, yes, keep conducting research, because you want to better yourself. You want to be a better person than you were today, tomorrow.
Thank you so much, guys. Live to thrive, not just survive. Blessings. See you next time.
Take
See ya.
care.
Thank you. See ya.